See, for this we will need to understand a little bit of what is called karma. Okay. Karma means, activities or activities and their consequences. There are consequences to the actions that we perform. Or for example, children discover. Initially, they would just speak anything. But later, they would discover that their words have consequences. Do they have consequences? Do our words have consequences? They have consequences. And also dependent on the context that we are using the words in. They can have serious consequences or light consequences. Similarly, our thoughts and ideas have consequences. If we repeat certain thoughts, then we will be propelled into actionating along those lines. And that creates the manifest reality. But generally, when we are outward focused, then we will not connect these thoughts as propelling, our life. We will look at ourselves more as a, consequent reaction of outward forces, right? We are at the mercy of outer circumstances. That's how we might tend to view ourselves. That view is not wrong. For example, when we grow up, when we grow as a child, we are dependent on the image that others have of us. What our parents tell us we are, we trust we are that. What our teachers tell us we are, we believe in that. We believe, I'm that. It takes a long time, a maturing process to arrive at a self-image that is not just a consequence of others' image of you. Even now, your boss' image of you. Does it matter to you?
Yes.
It matters and it shapes you in a way. Not right or wrong, but that's how practically it is. Who you look up to, their image of you, it matters to you. If a third person, someone were to comment on you, that you can discard, let's say, safely, practically. No, that's a mature working style. But others' image of us matters to us. Now that image is also in part shaped by, image is called drishti. Their way of viewing us. What all goes into shaping it if you look at it? Sometimes it seems ad hoc. We believe we are this, but others don't trust in us. And we are shocked. How can you think like that of me? But what goes into them having such a drishti on us? There should be something, some backdrop to it. It's not just our work. So that's where, when we understand karma, it's in terms of activities, their consequences in terms of others' drishti on us, and their consequences on our own drishti. Right? Others' drishti on us and our own drishti. You do certain things, others may start thinking, oh, you are such a person. They arrive at judgments only based on such data. You work well in your corporate life. They will tend to think, yes, they're a good performer. Is it always valid? Does it need to match with your image of how you work? Need not match. You see, these are not like set things. So when we talk of drishti, others' drishti of us and our drishti of ourselves, they need not match always. It's a complex interaction. And others means there are groups, those who matter a lot more, those who matter little, and their priority also keeps shifting. These keep shifting, or are they fixed? Someone's view of you is fixed for life. Can it be said? It cannot be said that. Your view of yourself. Now let's say you have a healthy view of yourself. Is it guaranteed that next year it will continue to be so? These are also not fixed phenomena. There are variabilities. Now these seem as ad hoc. at best, which cannot be mathematically modeled. Drishti cannot be mathematically modeled if we look at modern day psychology and so on. It seems ad hoc, and hence it's not looked at as scientific so much. It's not like science, you know, because it's unpredictable, it's vague, it's like anything is valid. That seems to be the popular idea of psychology. You cannot reproduce, you cannot recreate. It is not scientific. You know, evidence-based mechanism does not hold good so much. But that's where if we look at a different way of approaching it, right? We want predictability to it, but it's not directly available with, say, understanding the mind. We want to understand the subliminal influences to the mind. That's a very important understanding. It's not automatic. There are so many influences to the mind, and there can we have patterns. Does it link up with other deeper phenomena? Such things are studied. Okay, it's not vague. For example, we discussed about sleep, and she was mentioning about REM sleep, non-REM sleep. So these are wave patterns. In EEG signals, you will see different kinds of wave patterns: beta, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, different kinds of wave patterns. And those wave patterns, we don't experience them. Our state of experience is in terms of emotions, thoughts, ideas. But there are different ways to view things. So the same thing that we look at as drishti, we can view it as wave patterns as well. Do you agree? In a reduced manner, not in full complexity. Now, wave patterns means they are also, we were discussing about dreams. They are linked up with global electromagnetic signatures, cosmic signatures. They tend to interact. This is not established science, but they tend to interact. So you are not living in isolation. You are actually connected with the electromagnetic activity that is all around you. That impacts our drishti. Drishti is a personalized phenomena, but this is like you can observe patterns, study it, and reproducible signs. There are evidence. That's how when we view astrology, it's built up like this. Evidence-based mechanisms. But it requires big data analysis, right? Now we use statistical procedures for everything. It's huge data accumulated over millennia that gives rise to such sciences. So we cannot discount it as such. But there, how do we deal with it appropriately? There's a kriya, there's a sadhana. When we say sadhana, spiritual sadhana, how much of an impact does it have? So that's where we distinguish between, say, outer circumstances, others' view of us, and inner circumstances. The inner circumstances, as you gain more and more expertise, you can de-link it. This process is gaining vairagya. You can de-link it, by which you don't need to always be swayed by outer circumstances. Right? Outer circumstances might not be fully in your control. Those might go by very specific patterns, let's say, open to pattern analysis. But inner circumstances, how you feel, need not be always linked with it. And that's the role of kriyas. You would see, for example, when you do your kriyas, you clearly said, no matter what the outer circumstances are, things are going your way or not your way, still you are able to retain your cool. How is that? So that is the kind of vairagya.
So that is the point astrology lacks, that its influence on us, right?
No, it does not lack. It is like a spectrum. It influences up to a certain spectrum. After that, you can say it attenuates. Its influence attenuates. It's like a wave.
Okay.
There is a space in which there is a big influence, but then there is a space in which there is attenuated influence, not in terms of influence, but in terms of how we view it. Generally, we view it in terms of Phalita Jyotisha. Phalita Jyotisha means, what outcome will I get? We are interested in that.
Yeah.
But in the spiritual life, you are not interested in external outcomes. Then it's not Phalita Jyotisha. You don't look there. If you try to look there, then you would be like confused. So, Jyotisha is not confusing, okay, in that sense. But you need to know where to use that. Appropriate usage. And that requires nuanced approach. Okay. So that's where you are free to perform your sadhana and go systematically. Grow deeper. Live free. Right here, right now. Not in terms of outcomes that are like into the future.